Well, it's a typical Wednesday, and I'm setting up for cooking classes as the kids all start to come in, and I hear, "Miss Lisa, my mom took us to McDonald's," in a typical childlike tattletale voice. As all the students are watching me to see what my reaction will be, and I put on my best poker face and I said, "I understand. Your mom's busy, and she's doing the best she can." This video is about that moment, choosing love over shame. I may be teaching food literacy, but it is not meant to judge anyone. Least of all, having you judge yourself. In the next few minutes, I'll show you phrases that will help raise the frequency at any moment, a 10-second reset that will stop a food fight, and a simple lens to keep our words at love or above. Are you ready? Because this is a really important conversation. First, let's address the difference between guilt and shame. Shame attacks the person. It says, "I'm bad." Guilt is really a focus or an attack on the behavior, saying I did a bad thing. One of those attacks identity. The other one attacks the choice. I find it funny that the kids often want to tell on their parents, and they use that tattletale tone, which is interesting because I make it a point not to judge them or their parents when I'm teaching. Do I want to teach better choices? Absolutely, but I refuse to lower anyone with shame. We protect identity and we coach behavior. That's one of my kitchen rules. And here's a lens that helps me. On Dr. David Hawkins' Map of Consciousness, which is a spiritual model, shame and guilt calibrate to a very low frequency, whereas love calibrates to a high frequency. It reminds me to speak at love or above. When people ask me how I got through the teenage years, I say, practice your poker face, get really good at listening, and let go of judgment. Your kids will not come talk to you if they feel like they're going to be judged. I was fortunate that I had some really good role models in my professional life, and I have an amazing life coach. I've come to learn that just about everything is a coachable moment. So if you can look at it as a coachable moment, sans the judgment, things will be much more productive. Well, we can apply that when it comes to the decisions that we make throughout the week around our food or around the choices that our kids make. If our kids are acting out, we might want to have a coachable moment with them. Ask them what happened. What do they need in this moment? Always remind them that they matter more than this moment. If we're making poor food choices, give them better options and say you have this option or this option. It's always good to engage our kids in a conversation, like having them read labels with us, not just telling them that they can't have something, but showing them what a better alternative would be. When we separate who our kids are from how they're acting or what just happened, learning can actually take place. Kids can keep their dignity. Parents can keep their sanity. Shame can't teach that. Only love can. In a minute, I'll give you a 10-second reset that I use. Self-compassion improves change more than criticism. So can we be honest? Most of us were raised with guilt as a tool, not because our parents were bad, because it's the only toolkit that they were handed. If you learned guilt, you probably use guilt until you notice it. So let's notice it. How does guilt sound in the kitchen? After everything I do for you, or why can't you just? You should know better. If you loved me, you would. You always, or you never. Those lines try to move behavior by pushing feelings. They work short term, but they lower the frequency. Today, we're going to upgrade our toolkit. We're going to swap guilt for love. And so here's some things we can say. Here's what we need tonight. How can we make that doable? What's hard about this right now? Instead of "you should know better," say, "let's talk this out. Let's walk it together." Instead of saying "if you loved me, you would," say "love looks like what tonight?" Instead of making those blank statements like "you always" and "you never," make sure that you say "today this part didn't work. Let's try again." In a second, I'll show you the family hand signal that resets everything without a single word. And we're going to start a 24-hour awareness challenge. Put a sticky note on the fridge, and each time you hear or say "should," "always," or "never," make a dot. By bedtime, replace the 3 biggest guilt lines with 1 love line for each. Now pick a silent cue. Hand over your heart, 2 taps on the counter, a little heart drawn in the air that means pause. We're switching to love. Anyone can use this, even kids. I remember when I saw my daughter's 2nd grade teacher using some sign language, and it was a way for her to control the class during assemblies or when things were loud. And I remember thinking how smart that was to have a hand signal to communicate with the kids when they couldn't hear. What I have found parenting is that sometimes when emotions run high, we can't hear. So if emotions are running high, have a hand signal. Learn some sign language or create your own signal that breaks the hold of that moment. In the evening, do a 60-second debrief. Ask 3 questions at dinner or bedtime. Where did guilt get in the way today? Where did we switch to love? And what one line will we try tomorrow? If you were raised with guilt, that means you survived with guilt. I was. Through therapy, I was able to recognize it, and then my kids became aware of my guilt trips, and they'd call me out on it. Today, my daughter's a therapist. We can choose differently, but awareness is the first step. So step 1, we have to identify it. Learn shame's voice. You always, you never, you're just a bad blank. Write your top 3 lines. When they pop up, say that's shame and I know that's a lie. Step 2 is to face it. See, shame withers when spoken. Say it to a safe person out loud. Shame is telling me I'm unlovable because I yelled. Name what's true. I have value. I made a mistake. I can repair. Step 3, take responsibility. Values are directions, not destinations. I value kindness and leadership in our kitchen. Ask, what small action matches that value today? Apologize. Reset the routine. Check your state before the story. See, when we're dysregulated, shame gets loud and logic goes quiet. Calm the body first and then talk. This is something we talk about in trauma biology. The 10-second reset. 3 slow breaths, a sip of water, a step outside, then speak. Now here's a 7-word sentence. You matter. Let's try again. I'm here. This is you being present. Use it with your child and use it with yourself. Being present and partnering with our child is so much more productive. Let's say that they chose sugar and they're having a snack crash. You could tell them, look at what happens. You had too much sugar. You could yell about it. But instead, you could say, what did you eat and how is it affecting you? Have you noticed how your food choices affect you? Maybe for your next snack, you would like to have more protein. Instead of telling them what they can and can't put in the cart, have them read the label with you. Say, let's read this label together. What do you notice? 1 aisle, 1 label, 1 lesson at a time. But now we're on equal footing. When you're going to a party, instead of telling them no, they can't have anything, tell them to pick the 1 or 2 party foods that they love, but make sure that they choose a helper food or a healthy food to go along with it. And far too often, I hear parents say that the kids are being a picky eater. So let's find new ways of approaching it with them. When they're engaged or enrolled in the process, they're more likely to try new things. They also are watching what you're doing. So if you have a parent slip up and your old self-talk was, I failed again, reframe that and say, tomorrow I'll choose differently. Before we wrap, the most common shame trap for parents and the fix, and the 1 weekly swap that changes everything in 30 days. When you watch my videos, you may learn how products are engineered for craveability. It's normal to feel upset. Just pause. You made past choices with the information, the time, and the money that you had. That's not a moral failure. It is a reality. We're changing the story at home 1 small step at a time. 1 common shame trap is, I went through the drive-thru and I failed. And the fix is to say, today I chose convenience. Tomorrow I will cook and meal prep. Set out containers now and commit to prepping 2 meals in the time it would take to make 1 meal. You can do 1 weekly swap over the next 4 weeks. Maybe it's swapping out pancake syrup for real maple syrup, swapping out neon colored cereal for some sprouted oats, some dyed snacks with some dye-free alternatives, or swapping out soda for sparkling water with fruit juice. These are changes that can be done over the next month. Making one change a week will make a positive impact on your family. You can also add rituals that raise the frequency of the room. Make sure phones are away. Turn music on. Say a blessing. Thank our bodies. Create a curiosity jar. Pull one food experiment weekly. Celebrate the family for trying something new. A mom once posted that something I said made her feel guilty. And other moms replied that they have never felt that from me. Here's my stance. Feelings are valid. Impact matters. My intent is insight, inspiration, and support, not shame. If my words land heavy, I'm sorry, but they come from life, a life I lived with a lot of experience. If you're feeling ashamed from an episode, first realize that no one can make you feel shame. That feeling comes from within you. So here's what you can do about it. One experimental study asked participants to think of an episode from their past in which they were ashamed of themselves, then asked them to write about the incident self-compassionately. Those in the self-compassionate writing group reported significant decreases in shame and negative affect. By relating to suffering with warmth rather than harshness, and by remembering that suffering is part of the shared human condition, individuals feel less overwhelmed and isolated by their negative emotions and less likely to develop psychopathology. Research indicates that self-compassion enhances positive mind states while lessening negative ones. A longitudinal study found that writing a self-compassionate letter to oneself over a 5-day period found not only decreased depression levels for 3 months, but also increased happiness for 6 months. Eleanor Roosevelt once said that no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. This channel is a no-shame zone. I understand life, and I'm here to offer insight, inspiration, and support so that you can choose love over guilt, one small step at a time. We're choosing higher frequency parenting, one breath, one kinder sentence, one better snack at a time.